All right, you guys, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. Today I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Amanda Glitters.
and we are going to talk about why your New Year's resolution is going to fail. So we see often a lot of New Year's resolutions that go bad. And so it's very much akin to starting off hot and heavy, like a new relationship, right? We see this all the time. And then it fizzles off by March. And today's episode is going to uncover a lot of the reasons why we see that happen. And it starts with mistakes that we see that people don't think about and consider before they dive into setting their New Year's resolutions.
I bet people are already making the resolution right now.
Yes, absolutely. They most certainly are.
Okay, so with this, what we want you to do is we want you to go into this with a different mindset and preparedness. Like people are going to be like, I'm already considering my New Year's resolution right now, but they haven't even like dug into the resolution. I'm thinking like typically what's one that you usually hear of? Usually the one that I hear is, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, some of these people don't even have 20 pounds to lose. Or one of the things that they do is they don't have any reason to do that, right? So what we want to do is when you make that resolution, we want you to have a smart goal versus a dumb goal, right? Meaning that you can pinpoint some of those things that you want to do. The other thing is as the things most people don't consider when they set goals, and then questions you need to ask yourself before you go into any goal.
Correct. And by doing this pre-work, it is setting the foundation in your life, and it will set you up for success so that way you can achieve that goal. So it's really the foundation, the bedrock is thinking about these things in advance, because anybody can get excited about starting a program, which we see all the time, right?
All the time.
They throw money at us, give us your dollar bills, and then it's the excitement to start it, but it's can you execute it to the finish, which is the main reason why you set a goal is you want to hit that target. But we don't think about all the things in between from starting and finishing that have to be set up right for you to be successful. Because if you think about it, you've been doing the same thing and operating the same thing for quite some time, and it hasn't worked for you. And now you have to start implementing different habits and looking at some possibilities as to why you are failing every time you set a New Year's resolution. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the most important thing to address is, what is your goal? And Amanda already touched on this. You have to get really specific. One thing that we hear often, or some examples of goals that will likely fail without getting specific, that's a tough word, is I want to lose weight. Okay, what does that mean? Or I want to tone up. And then the other one, I need to get in shape, right? These are very general goals without any specificity. But let's talk about a strategy, which Amanda already clued you into, which is setting smart goals. Now you may think, oh yeah, it makes sense to make a goal sound smart, but it is actually an acronym. So the acronym SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And you may have already heard of this before, because this criteria has been used as a framework a lot of times in goal setting for management and business. I use this for business goals. Amanda's been to quarterly retreats with me. This is something that we use for the business, but it is also widely used for fitness and nutrition and many types of goals that need a strategy. I think this is a really great foundation to setting up even educational goals or, budget goals, anything like that. So let's dive into some examples of SMART goals. So clearly stating what you want to achieve. For example, I want to lose 15 pounds is a way better goal than I want to lose some weight. So getting very, very specific. Okay, then we have measurable. So make it measurable so you can actually track your progress, right? So using numbers, percentages, milestones. An example would be, I will track my progress by logging my workouts and measuring the weights that I lift each session. So that would be if you were maybe trying to get stronger, right? Or put on muscle. That's a good one, is tracking your progress in terms of progressive overload, which is a word that's fancy word that just means you're either getting stronger or you're adding more reps or, sets and things like that. Okay. And then make it achievable. This is one we see often, right? I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 15 pounds a month or something like that. not realistic for most of the population and probably most of you listening here. So making it super realistic and attainable. So figure out what you need to achieve the goal and also is it realistic? So for example, I will need access to a gym or suitable equipment and or guidance from a trainer. Like, how are you going to achieve this thing? Who are the people? What are the tools? And also, is it achievable? Then the last one, which is relevant, is making sure that your goal aligns with your overall objectives. So, for example, if you are saying, I want to improve my strength and endurance because this will help me perform better in my favorite sports and daily activities, that's definitely more relevant if that is your focus, if that's your goal, right? I mean, this definitely can be tied into bodybuilders that we see or that we coach as well.
Yes.
And then also when it comes to being relevant, you need to evaluate the importance. How important is this to you? So assessing why this goal matters to you personally is super important. It needs to be tied to a bigger purpose, right? We see people that just want to lose 5 pounds.
I feel like this is the one that is like the hardest because people are like, I want to lose 5 pounds, right? Like you were saying, but the 5 pounds isn't enough for them to want to do it.
It's not going to get your ass out of bed at 5 a.m. to go to the gym.
No,
right?
It's not.
So an example would be this goal is relevant or important to me because it'll enhance my overall well-being and confidence. You can even take it a step further and say, it's relevant because I want to feel confident in a bikini on June 1st when I go on my vacation, right? Or something.
Yeah, that's specific. That is
very, very specific and relevant to why it's important. Then the last important piece of the puzzle is that it needs to be time bound. And I feel like this is probably one of the most important pieces of this acronym sort of outline when you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Because if you just say, I want to get in shape, by when, how long is that going to take you? Are you going to push yourself enough to really make that happen?
Right.
So setting a deadline specific to when you want to achieve your goal. So another example here would be, I will achieve a 20% increase in my strength within 3 months from today's date.
Right. I think a really great way to like kind of think about that too, because math is hard. If you're looking for a PR, right? Say you're hip thrusting 200 pounds right now. In the next month, I want to hip thrust 250 pounds. Like that's a really great way to give you a time and give you an actual specific thing that you're working for.
Yes. So what you're saying is breaking it down into smaller chunks, which is also one of the next things I was going to mention too, is dividing it into smaller milestones. So in this example, like she was mentioning of lifting weights, you could say something like, I'm aiming for, if you're not sure, some people aren't really familiar with like, oh, how much should I be aiming to, right? So maybe you aim for a 5% strength increase every month to see steady progress, right? And you can even break it down like this if you have weight loss goals. And I think even more so if you have weight loss goals.
Yes.
Is rather than getting ahead of yourself and saying, over the next 3 months, I need to lose 30 pounds, right? That's likely not realistic. So you would need to kind of chunk that down. And then also, what does that look like every month? What does that look like every week, right? And those are things that you can start to set little targets for.
I think it also helps when you break it down like that is to keep you motivated to keep going. If you're like, I have this thing in 3 months, well, if you're already kind of losing it about a month in, who's to say you're going to continue for the next 2? So breaking it up into smaller chunks, looking at it like that is going to be definitely a better way for you to kind of stick to that.
Definitely. And I think in my experience, something that I have fought with or battled myself, I don't know if you have in particularly, but I have seen this from clients as well, is that sometimes they're afraid to do this process because then it like puts them on the hook to have to like follow through.
Well, yeah, I actually heard that in the studio this morning that somebody said, like, I really want to do this, but I'm afraid I'm going to let you down. And I'm like, you're not going to let me down as a coach. These are your goals. I'm just holding you to them. So it doesn't let me down. Ultimately, it lets you down.
Yes.
And that's not what we're here for. We're here to lift you up and get you to your goals because that's what we do.
That is what we do. But I think it is a hindrance or a roadblock for a lot of people because they're almost scared to look at how much work they have to do. Like, oh my gosh, that feels like so overwhelming. I feel so far gone, this, and that. And it just really helps you get super clear. And then you can, once it's down, I think taking pen to paper is also a really great idea. Opening up a Google Doc and just brain dumping what that looks like for you in a perfect world. Like if you had a magic wand, bibbity bobbity boo, how would you set these goals? And then just try to make progress forward.
Right.
Small baby steps, right?
Baby
Or
steps for sure.
if you're like us, we just rip the Band-Aid and we just do the whole thing.
All the way. All the way.
Yes, but also prepare yourself for that. So just to kind of wrap up that acronym, the setting smart goals, a full example would be a great SMART goal example would be, I want to lose 15 pounds in 3 months. That's 5 pounds every month. And how you're going to do that is you will go to the gym and lift weights 3 times a week on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Look how specific that is.
Love that.
I will also meal prep on Wednesdays and Sundays. And this is important because my clothes fit too tight right now and I am uncomfortable, right?
Ooh.
So this hits everything in the SMART goal setup for setting up, very, very specific and measurable goals. Now, the flip side of that is the SMART goal versus the dummy girl goal,
The dummy girl,
which is I want to lose 15 pounds. And your plan is just as simply, well, I'm going to join the gym. That's not good enough, right? Some people think that's good enough. This is why people continue to just set New Year's resolutions, because this is how they do it. I'm going to lose some weight this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the gym and start running.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's usually what we hear.
I feel like one thing before we move on is just the SMART goal, right? Just to kind of reiterate what it is. It's a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goal. Okay. So she wrote all of that. She said all of that in the last kind of little
segment.
Excerpt, of what she was saying. So if you're kind of thinking about that, I want you guys to really kind of dig into those 5 things of what we're actually looking for so you can be successful in this. I think another thing too is that we don't consider the things that, like, you have to focus on things that you don't consider when you set a health and fitness goal, right? There's always things that were like, I never even realized that was why things weren't working out for me, right? So when you're setting a SMART goal, the thing is like, let's ask a couple questions, right? What bad habits have gotten you where you're at, right? Because we got to be careful. If we keep doing those, SMART goal is going to have a problem. Okay. So
it's going to be a dumb goal real fast.
It's going to be a dummy girl. Yeah. So DoorDash is so easy. And it's like, oh, I don't want to cook dinner. So guess what? You go to DoorDash, right? Then you're in your pajamas, you're eating Taco Bell, and that's not going to get you to your goal. Okay.
I do want a Mexican pizza though.
I don't think they make those anymore.
I know. I thought they brought it back, but.
All right. So a couple other things, right? Dining out, Starbucks. If you work in an office, the break room right now, I bet, is rampant with potlucks and cookies and treats. And, the other thing is, like, you can fall into eating too many snacks. Maybe your kids have snacks. Maybe you're eating your kids' food because they haven't finished it. A couple other things that are away from food, staying up too late. I've been known to get some lack of sleep. Okay. Me for sure. And then also one that we know is a little bit more hard to get around, especially when it's the holidays, alcohol, parties, fun stuff. I've been talking to like all of my friends and whatnot. And I'm like, how's everybody doing this month? And they're like, I'm busy every weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not surprised. So
right.
Use of alcohol, because it's going to be there. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah. And the thing that I think, I think people need to understand too, it's not that we're saying that you can't do these things and be successful, right? It's just that a lot of times when people are doing the DoorDash, the dining out, the Starbucks, and things of that nature, they're not making the best choices for their goals. You can still DoorDash, girlfriend. You can still eat out, you can still do Starbucks. And we teach people how to do that in our programs the right way, in terms of like, you can still enjoy, but you're going to make different decisions. Doesn't mean you're going to be sad salad Sally. Is that what we call her? Sad salad Sally.
Sally. Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're going to be sad salad Sally. It just means that when you make those when you order out, you're going to be ordering a little bit differently. We teach our clients how to do that so they can still have flavor, enjoy the experience, but not sacrifice their body goals.
Right. Let's like just give a little example, right? If you're going to Starbucks, you could get the mocha chocolate frappuccino, right?
Mocha Crappuccino, my
That is
favorite.
gonna, depending on what size you get, that thing is gonna run you like 400, 500, 600 calories.
At least.
Crazy. Crazy. That's like 2 meals almost, right? So what we would say, okay, instead, let's go in, let's get an iced coffee. Okay. Maybe we'll get some sugar free. Maybe we'll put some almond milk in it instead of half and half. And there you go. Now you've got something that's under 100 calories, and that's going to get you to be able to still go to the Starbuckies, but not feel like you can't eat breakfast and lunch because you had a frappuccino.
Right.
Right. So I think another thing too that we have to think about is you need to set up your surroundings, everything that's around you, right? Your home fridge. You want to make sure that you've got protein in there, your pantry. You know, I've got little kids too, right? I know that this is thing. They're like, well, I buy it for the kids, right? And then you end up being the little squirrel in the refrigerator or in the pantry eating the things. You can still have those things, but I just put my things in a different pantry. Okay. When you're grocery shopping, you want to make sure that there's food at home so you can go home and eat, right? You're going to be like the Mexican grandma or the Mexican mom that says, no, you can't have McDonald's. We have food at home.
I was that mom.
We have food at home. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is like another thing. If you set yourself up there, you will be more apt to be like, you know what? You're right. I do have meals at home. There's no reason for me to go out and eat. So another thing too is, and I think this is one of the hard ones, is it depends on who you're hanging out with. If you are hanging out with a certain someone that maybe is not necessarily on purposely sabotaging your goals, but maybe they're like, I like to go to brunch every weekend and we like to go out all day. And that's kind of how it is, right? That is somebody that's kind of unknowingly sabotaging your goals. So I'm not saying you can't hang out with these people. It's just that you need to either limit your interaction or be strong enough while you're in that setting that you can still kind of pick and choose your good things, instead of, diving in headfirst into, biscuits and gravy.
And setting boundaries, right?
Setting
Because
boundaries.
we've had to teach clients how to do that a lot when they are in our programs, because they'll be in a 12-week program and they're like, I have this thing. And like my sister-in-law always pressures me because I'm not drinking as much and this and that. And so it's really like, we teach women to own their decisions and not be people pleasers.
Sometimes
And
you can say no.
yeah, you can say no. And if they don't like it and they're your friends, they'll accept it. If not, then they're probably not the friends that you want to keep. Just saying.
Right.
You
You're
know,
probably, yes, you're 100% right. The other thing too is you're going to have more people that are around you. Your partner. Is your partner on board? Can you do this without them or you feeling pressured? Do you have support around you? So I'm going to tell you right now, it's possible to do this without your partner being on board. Okay. I've done it. My husband is not a bodybuilder. I am. When I'm in prep, he does not eat chicken and fish like I do. Okay. But with me, what it is, he supports me 100%. If I need help meal prepping, he's there for me. So that's the best thing is that your partner does not have to technically participate as long as they're in support of what your goals are.
yes. And I think it still warrants a conversation,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if you're not doing a contest prep or a show and you're just signing up to do a transformation program, or you're signing up at the gym or to work with the trainer or whatever, a boot camp, something.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have that conversation with your partner, whoever lives in your household, and just let them know, because things are going to be changing, right? The way that you interact, maybe with your meals or your social activities, are likely going to be changed a little bit, not necessarily go away, just going to be different.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that you want to consider when you are setting your SMART goals or you're setting your New Year's resolution goals is you want to think about when you're going to work out, right? Like I said earlier, you just say like, oh, I'm going to join the gym. What does that mean? Get more specific. What has not been working for you? what has infamously not worked in the past, and look at your schedule and see where you're going to be able to fit those workouts in. Because the reality of it is, and a lot of people don't account for this stuff, is when you start something like you sign up for a program, for the sake of example, we're running the Goddess Body Project right now. So this is what we're talking about, is when you sign up for that, you really need to think about, like, how long does it take you to get to the gym? How long do you anticipate being there? How long does it take to get home? And where that can plug and play in your system. Get very, very specific. The day, the time, where you're going, what you're doing, how many times a week. If you're going with somebody else, like an accountability partner, I know you and I would always meet up at the gym and things like that, is figuring that all out before you decide to jump into a program, right? Super important. We've seen it time and time again. Women are not prepared when they start our programs, even though we're like giving them all this content, right? And they just think they're going to figure it out when they get there. And then they're overwhelmed and then they just freeze and do nothing. And we don't want that for anybody, whether you work with us or not. We just want you to take action, but also know what you're doing. Then the other thing you have to consider is, will you cook? Because most people, when they join a program, I don't think they realize, or maybe they do, most of their results are going to come from their nutrition, right? They think, oh, I'm just going to go do this thing, right? We've had people in the past, in full transparency, and I'm sure you'll remember this, Amanda, is they'll join our program, right? Let's just say the in-studio program. They join the studio program and they come and they're coming for 6 weeks or whatever. And they're like, nothing's changing. I've been coming 3 days a week for an hour and like nothing's changing. I haven't lost any weight. And we hear this whole thing. And I'm internally like on fire when people say this to my face, and I'm just waiting for them to finish, and I'm listening with empathy, and I start asking questions. Well, what does your diet look like? First thing I ask, oh, well, I haven't really been doing the diet part. It's hard for me. I start hearing all these excuses. Yeah. And so it really becomes a matter of us educating them, and why we have the podcast and we scream it from the podcast rooftops, that it does not matter. You can have the perfect program, perfectly executed to a T, every single day, every rep, every set, everything, every minute. But if you're eating like a shit bag, it does not matter. Okay. No. So if that has not been pointed out enough, there you go. But
if not, you're new here.
You're definitely new here. But the thing that you have to think about is, are you going to be cooking? Because that's a huge objection for a lot of people. They don't want to spend hours in the kitchen, right? Will you be doing a meal prep company? Are your kids able to help out with that? Was always my go-to. Is my youngest would be cooking all my food for me. I taught him how. And I can hear all the moms internally screaming right now that they do not want their kids in the kitchen. Let me tell you right now,
do it.
It is the best decision I ever made. Okay.
Do it.
Because not only that, now he knows how to prepare meals for himself. He was more likely to eat the meals that I would have him cook, because he just was like, oh, I want to taste this. He would taste it for flavor. And he's like, oh, this is really good. Oh, my mom eats this and she's a bodybuilder. Let me start eating it. And then before you know it, I bred a bodybuilder without even knowing it, Yeah. So not that you're breeding bodybuilders, but is getting them used to seeing these foods.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's even talk about some of our other clients that are even, just lifestyle clients. They've realized that now that they're starting to eat better, their family is eating better. And by the byproduct of them just making healthier meals, some of the husbands are losing weight. Some of the kids are getting into it, and they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to be eating pizza anymore. They want to eat like the good stuff, because they know how they feel after that. So I think with that, there's a lot of different ways to get around it, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am the laziest girl's meal prep guide ever. And I don't love to cook. I don't love to be in the kitchen either, but I find ways to make it easy for me. So I'm only in the kitchen maybe an hour. Other than that, we ain't be doing that.
Like an hour a week, or an hour when you meal prep?
An hour, maybe week.
Twice a week.
Yeah, maybe twice.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I'm always trying to educate clients through the process of cook once, eat twice. And that's a fancy way of saying meal prep without saying meal prep, because I think people hear meal prep and they get overwhelmed.
Yeah. I usually tell my friends, all of my people, I'm like, listen, whether you're making your family something or you're making you something, what I want you to do is double it. Make double, because then you're going to have leftovers for tomorrow. Guess what? It's meal prep.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes. We have a meal prep guide that helps our clients like seamlessly figure this out so they're not doing endless amounts of dishes and cooking 5 different meals for everybody in the family and things like that. So, um, if you are in the program, that is definitely something you're going to enjoy because it's just kind of spelled out for you. So, the other thing you want to think about moving on to the next thing is probably the most important thing is what will be the biggest obstacle in your way that will prevent you from being successful in your SMART goal or your New Year's resolution? What is the biggest obstacle? The other question you have to ask yourself is what has stopped you before? Because a lot of times when people come to us, it's not the first time that they've tried to do a program. They've tried all the things. I tried this thing. I tried keto. I tried paleo. I tried, Atkins. I did this. I went to this boot camp and did their challenge or whatever. And then they come to us because they're trying to find the magic thing. And let me tell you, there is no magic thing. You just have to follow through and do that thing.
Keep doing the same thing.
Yes, you have to figure out what the thing is that you enjoy and you feel like you could stick to. And then you keep doing that consistently, right? Obviously, we tweak it and things like that as people plateau. But if you have stopped things before because you couldn't stick to them, it's probably because they were too rigid. So something like keto, where they're eliminating certain foods, or paleo, or, whatever the new diet trend is. That's why a lot of people can't stay committed to that as a lifestyle unless, they enjoy that because carbs are delicious. People want to eat carbs, and we're not saying that that's the end all be all, but we teach you in a way that isn't making you feel deprived so you can still see results and enjoy your nutrition at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I think is really important, and you kind of said this earlier about me, is that you need somebody that you can reach out to you that is going to kick you in the ass when you're like, I don't want to go to the gym today.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be like, no, you need to go to the gym today. Right. So it's like you need somebody in your ear that is on your team. Right. And I'm going to tell you right now, probably shouldn't be your significant other.
Not unless they are as highly motivated as you are and on the same page. But
And
yes.
exactly. Yes. I would just be careful with that. I think, your best friend, probably a really good idea, especially if she or he, this is for men as well, if they know that this is something that you're really wanting to do, like this is what you're going to do. Right. The other thing is what happens when you fall off track? I think this happens a lot. Everybody falls off track and then they're like, oh, well, I already screwed up on Tuesday. I might as well just wait until Monday to get back on track. And, Mondays are always going to come, but there's nothing special about Monday. There's nothing special about Monday.
No.
No, nothing at all. So it's like, what are you going to do when you fall off track? You need to sit yourself down, have a little come to meeting, okay? And be like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, what am I doing? This was not my goal to fall off track and not do the things. Go back to your SMART goal, see what she says, get back on her, and then go do the thing.
Yes. And it is incredibly valuable to have your accountability person or, your coach, or, we have our online group, which is going to be kick ass, for 2024. I'm super stoked about that, where it's like a group of people who are doing the same thing make it so much easier than you doing it yourself, right?
Yes.
A community, whether it's a program, somebody that, the start and end date, everybody travels together. So you're commiserating with other people because it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Let me just tell you that now. It does not matter what program you sign up for. If you're not used to this as a lifestyle, in terms of, eating healthfully, moving your body, prioritizing sleep and, supplementing and doing things if you need to and all that stuff. If that doesn't come naturally to you, where this is something ingrained in us now, it's just who we are. Like,
right.
We know if we want, I mean, this is not to be like humble brag or anything because it did not come easy. Let me just tell you, but we're in a position where I drink water 99.9% of the time, right? I'll have a Diet Coke maybe once a day or once every few days. I've already established my coffee, so it's not like a Frappuccino, so the foundations of my lifestyle are 80% a fit, healthy lifestyle, right? The other 20% is fun things on the weekend, like a drink or this or that. But if that's not you, it's going to take some time. And not, if you don't have accountability, whether it's a coach or a community that you're in that can kind of keep you on track, it is harder to be successful, and it is more likely that you will fail. And that's just proven fact.
Yeah.
So the whole takeaway of the podcast is what I want you to know is that by setting SMART goals, it's just going to help you get incredibly clear on what your next steps are. You're creating your own, what is my next step strategy, right? Just take the next smallest step towards chipping away at that goal, and honestly setting yourself up before you even decide to tackle an endeavor that will make it much more likely that you will be successful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is, in a nutshell, SMART goals, setting yourself up for success for the new year, going in with a strategy. And once you set your goals up, you will then know what needs to happen next. Like I said earlier, whether that's you're hiring us to take you through it in online group coaching or online VIP, or maybe you join us in the studio as an example, or you hire a personal trainer, or you buy a program online and you try to execute it yourself and you have a strategy there. Maybe you get a friend as an accountability person. It really is going to let you know, okay, shit, well, this is what I need to do next, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything more to add on that?
I want to keep pushing this of the SMART goal. Okay. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. SMART goals. We know you're all smart. Okay. Let's be smarter.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So if you like this episode and you are intrigued by what it is that we do and how we walk clients through this process ourselves, we would love for you to join us. Now, the Goddess Body Project is going to be very led in terms of week by week. We will take you through each week and give you what you should be focusing on that week. We will help you set up your macros for the first time. We'll have meal plans. We'll have all the things. But most importantly, you'll have all the tools you need, right? The workouts, the cardio, everything, our whole toolbox will be at your fingertips. But most importantly is going to be the accountability piece, of which you show up every week for the group coaching calls. If you don't, you can watch them afterwards. And you participate in this and you get curious and you learn from the other women in the group. It's super huge piece of the puzzle for success is the community. And we see how strongly it works in the studio.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked to bring it to an online capacity. So our very first call that we have, our coaching call in the program on January 15th will even include a full worksheet that will help you get clear as fuck about your goals, because we do not want wishy-washy goals. We do not want you in the program making wishy-washy goals and like, I hope I lose 10 pounds in this program. So we're going to have a worksheet for you to tease that out on the call and get very, very clear. So then the next 12 weeks are strategic and you don't feel confused as to what it is your end goal is, right? So the Goddess Body Project starts on January 15th. Again, we have two online options. One is going to be a VIP option where if you're like, nah, I think I need a little bit more hand holding, then you can work one-on-one with a coach. I think Amanda's taking 5 clients on this session, not very many, because she still has so many that have continued on, which is great. And then some of our other coaches also have some room as well, but we have the online VIP. We have the online group, which is going to be less high touch, but also a great option for those of you that kind of feel like when you go in the gym, you tinker around, you don't know what you're doing, you want strategy, nutrition guidance, and then the weekly support and online accountability. And then we also have the in-person version in Modesto, which also includes in-person personal training sessions. So the link is going to be in the description. Should you be curious, you can check it out. Of course, you can DM us with any questions as well. And we hope to see you in the program.
Yeah, that's right.
Bye.
Bye.